Representative Darneille, in a busy session, how do you keep in touch with your constituents?
It's beginning to be a much larger issue for us. We have so many constituents that have been really engaged in the conversation this year about not only the policy bills that are before us, but especially about the budget bills and the budget changes that are happening in this budget. So we do a lot of emailing back and forth. If someone is part of an advocacy group and I start to get several emails, all of which have the same content, I tend to write one letter and send them back to all those people that sent that one letter to me. Try to make phone calls for some of the individual problems that people are facing, and also try to work with staff to try to solve some of those problems on behalf of constituents. And then once in the middle of every session, just like this session, we'll try to do a town hall meeting in district. This gives us a chance to go home, be with people. It's going to be coming up very soon on February 18th on Saturday. The Evergreen State College campus, 1210 6th Avenue, and it'll be from 10 a.m. to noon on Saturday the 18th, and everyone is very much encouraged to come. And we can talk about issues, budget items, anything that they want to talk about.
With all the budget talk about education first, what other key services do you think need support?
Well, certainly with the McCleary decision, which was the Supreme Court decision saying that we needed to keep on track with our plan to improve and reform education, it's created a new budget challenge this year. You know, we're facing this budget shortfall, and basically what the McCleary decision said was that we needed to maintain our progress towards that reform. That puts more burden on all the cuts coming from other parts of the budget. I'm particularly concerned about cuts in the Health and Human Services area, both from the basic health perspective, the Disability Lifeline program, which serves very low-income disabled people in our community, plus all the programs that are creating our social safety net, whether it's refugee assistance or food bank assistance or it's help for domestic violence victims. All of those things are currently in our budget. We currently have them as part of the threads of that safety net, and those are all going to be stressed even more to be able to keep that funding alive for them. So I'm very concerned about the rest of the Health and Human Services safety net as well.
How important do you think is it to defend those services against cuts?
Oh, well, it's really central to my mission here as a legislator. It always has been. I've worked for over 30 years with the poor in our community, and it's why I ran for office, and people know me as an advocate for people who are poor and disenfranchised. And so it's something I'm good at. I'm well known in our caucus for having on-the-ground information about how these cuts affect homelessness and other kinds of services in our community. And so I've put the lessons that I've learned in my community to good use down here to help other legislators understand the impact of our decisions.
Outside the budget, what particular issues are you advocating for?
My largest policy bill this year is one that's relating to the collection of DNA on arrest. This involves a person having been arrested for a violent or felony crime, or let's say they violated a protection order, a stalking order, or a domestic violence order. This would require their DNA to be taken after the court has determined there's probable cause that they committed this crime. The purpose of the DNA collection, though, is to not only stop the new crimes that this person might perpetrate, but to exonerate people who might have been arrested or even convicted for crimes, and it's to solve crimes more quickly. I've been most interested in trying to find a technology, and DNA is really the fingerprint of the 21st century. It's irrefutable evidence of someone being linked to a crime if there's evidence on the crime scene. And I've been most interested in it, though, because of really heinous evidence in our district and across the state of increased violence against women and children. So there is much controversy about the bill. There's really an uphill challenge for me to move this bill through the rest of the session, but I'm committed to trying to do this on behalf of victims.
What do you think will be the focus of the second half of the session?
Well, we're going to be reaching our deadline to get all of our policy bills over to the Senate for their process, which includes public hearings and more debate over there, probably more amendments over there. And we'll spend a few days doing that with Senate bills as well when they come over here. And then we'll go into what's called a concurrence process, where we have to get those bills back to the House of Origin. They have to be agreed to, that whatever the change was in the Senate, we have to agree to it over here, or try to negotiate back to our original position. But the real focus of the rest of the session will be on what happens when we roll out our budget ideas and people have the opportunity to have some input into that and see what we can do to try to find new resources or to reform the way that we're spending the resources that we have so people's needs are met. We do have to have more than half the people in the House and in the Senate vote for the budget bill. It's going to be a very, very hard vote for anybody to take because of all of the cuts that are going to be present in that bill. But we're working on the final details of that now.
As Vice Chair of the House Ways and Means Committee, what are you seeing unfolding in the budget negotiations?
We've been waiting to find out what our Caseload Forecast Council reports and what our Revenue Forecast Council reports. Basically, we have to have a budget that matches the need for our entitlement programs with the revenue that we have to operate those programs. And many, many other things in the budget that we want to have happen in the state are not, they're secondary, let's say, to all those programs that are entitlements. So whether it's how many students we have in K-12 education, or how many people are in nursing home facilities, or how many people are in prison, all those things have to be monitored very carefully and creates our caseload forecast. I've been chairing the Caseload Forecast Council for the last 3 years. Today we had our meeting and I handed over my gavel to Senator Hargrove for the next term. But we did come out with realization, and again, this is pretty scientific modeling that we do, that we have about 10,000 fewer students going into the public school system now than we thought we would have at this time in the year. And we think that's for a variety of reasons, but those are the kinds of things we measure on caseloads, and when we see a caseload drop like that, it really means we've got more money to spend because we've had to set that money aside based on an expectation that those people are going to be moving into our K-12 system. So we just had that report today, and next week we'll have the revenue forecast that'll tell us whether or not sales tax increases, or sales tax has been increasing, receipts from sales tax, and we'll see what our final budget number will need to be.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.